Snow drifted through the city like quiet ashes from a burning sky, settling on rooftops, cars, and the lonely shoulders of a woman standing at the edge of a glowing world she no longer belonged to. Lena held her son tighter as icy wind slipped through her coat, her breath turning to trembling clouds in the air. High above, warm light spilled from the towering windows of a luxury hotel, laughter sparkling behind glass like a celebration meant for anyone but her. Inside that golden glow stood the man she once trusted, her husband, raising a glittering glass beside another woman dressed in silk and confidence. The way he smiled pierced her like a memory turned into a weapon. Noah shifted weakly in her arms. "Mommy, why isn't Daddy coming home?" he whispered. Lena's heart cracked quietly, carefully, the way hearts break when they must keep beating. She didn't answer right away. She simply kissed his cold forehead and turned her body slightly away from the light above, as if shielding him from a truth too heavy for his small chest. In that moment, standing between luxury and loss, between comfort and courage, she felt a terrible realization settle into her bones. Tonight would change everything. The future she had been begging for was gone, but another path was forming beneath her frozen feet, uncertain and frightening, and hers alone. The moment Lena turned away from the glowing windows, the wind seemed to rise against her, sharp and relentless, as if the night itself tested her resolve. Snow thickened with every step she took, swallowing the sound of her boots as she moved forward with nothing but instinct guiding her. The city was alive with celebration, doors opening into warm cafes, shoppers laughing beneath strings of lights, couples wrapped in shared joy, but none of it reached her. She felt invisible among the brightness, a shadow carrying another fragile shadow in her arms. Noah's breathing grew uneven, his small body trembling harder against her chest. "Mommy? I'm tired," he murmured. Fear surged through her, fast and cold. She adjusted his scarf with numb fingers, whispering promises she wasn't sure she could keep. Somewhere behind her, the world she once called home glittered with music and comfort, but she didn't look back. She couldn't. Each step forward felt like walking away from the life she'd endured in silence. Her thoughts spiraled. No phone she could use, no money she could reach, no one who even knew where she was. Yet beneath the fear, something faint but stubborn stirred inside her. Not hope exactly, more like a refusal to surrender. As snow blurred her vision and the city stretched endlessly ahead, Lena realized the scariest truth of all. She was completely alone, and for the first time in her life, completely free. The cold grew sharper as the streets widened, the wind cutting through the city like a warning she could no longer ignore. Lena felt Noah's weight shift in her arms, lighter somehow, as if the fear itself was draining the strength from his little body. His breathing sounded wrong now, too fast, too shallow, and panic pressed hard against her ribs. "Stay with me, baby," she whispered, her voice breaking into thin threads. Her legs trembled with every step, not from weakness alone but from the terrifying thought that she might be too late to save him. Headlights suddenly washed over them, bright and blinding through the curtain of snow. A dark vehicle slowed beside her. For a heartbeat, fear froze her in place. Then a familiar voice cut through the storm, steady and real. "Lena?" The window lowered, warm air rushing out like a promise. She stared in disbelief at the man behind the wheel. Someone from a life she barely remembered, a life where she had once had dreams instead of survival. Before she could speak, the door opened. "Get in," he said urgently, eyes already on Noah's pale face. "Now." Relief crashed through her so suddenly her knees nearly gave way. As she climbed into the warmth, clutching her child, Lena didn't yet understand what this moment would become, but she felt for the first time that night, the fragile return of something she had almost lost forever, the belief that rescue was still possible. Warm air wrapped around Lena as the door shut, sealing out the storm in a rush of sudden silence. For a second she could only sit there, stunned, snow melting in her hair, her arms still locked around Noah as if the cold might somehow follow them inside. The man in the driver's seat moved quickly, turning the heat higher, reaching back to guide the warm air toward Noah's small, shaking body. "We're going to get him checked right now," he said, calm and firm in a way that made her chest finally tremble, lose its breath. The city slid past the windows in streaks of gold and white, Christmas lights rushing by like distant stars. Lena watched Noah's face anxiously, counting every rise and fall of his chest. Images from the night replayed in her mind without mercy, the raised glass, the careless smile, the closed balcony door. "I thought I could fix everything if I stayed quiet," she whispered suddenly, not even realizing she was speaking. The words surprised her with how heavy they were. The man beside her didn't interrupt. He simply drove faster through the glowing streets. As the vehicle turned toward the hospital entrance, Lena felt it then, a shift she couldn't fully explain. The road ahead was still frightening, the future still uncertain, but she was no longer walking it alone in the snow. And that fragile truth felt like the first crack of light after a very long night. The bright hallway lights made Lena blink as if she had stepped into an entirely different world. The cold, the snow, the darkness of the streets, all of it felt suddenly distant, like a dream she had barely survived. Noah lay beneath warmed blankets now, his small chest rising more steadily with each breath. A soft machine hummed beside him, quiet and reassuring. Lena stood frozen at the edge of the room, afraid that if she moved too much, the fragile calm might shatter. When Noah's fingers twitched and curled around hers, her knees nearly gave way from relief. She leaned closer, pressing her forehead to his warm hair, whispering promises through tears she had been holding back for years. Outside the room, the man who rescued them waited in silence, never rushing her, never demanding answers. For the first time in a long while, no one was telling her what to do, where to go, or how to feel. The stillness allowed something dangerous to surface. Memory. The kind of memory that reminds you who you once were before fear taught you how to shrink. She realized then that tonight had not only saved her son. It had awakened a part of her that had been sleeping under obedience and quiet endurance. And for the first time she wondered, what kind of life could she build if she finally chose herself and her child above everything else? The city was still celebrating somewhere beyond the hospital walls, but inside that quiet room, a different kind of future was being written. As dawn slowly softened the dark edges of the night, pale light slipped through the narrow window and rested on Noah's peaceful face. His breathing was calm now, steady in a way that made Lena's heart finally believe he would be all right. She sat beside him, exhausted yet awake in a new way, as if sorrow had loosened its grip just enough for courage to breathe. The man who had brought them here returned quietly, holding 2 cups of warm tea. He placed one beside her without speaking, as if he understood that words were fragile right now. Lena looked at her sleeping child and felt a truth settle deep within her. She didn't need permission anymore to protect her life. The night had stripped away her fear, her silence, and the chains she once mistook for love. When Noah stirred and gave a small, sleepy smile, she smiled back through quiet tears. Outside, snow continued to fall, but it no longer felt like a storm she had to survive. It felt like a clean beginning. And for the first time in years, Lena welcomed the day not as someone escaping the past, but as a mother stepping boldly toward a future she was finally ready to claim.